All right, got a thread from Carlos Osuita. Carlos screenshots a tweet from Jilly Ally at JillyBean113, and she tweets, Michael Moore is being ripped to pieces in real time right now for speaking truth to power. Absolutely ludicrous. He has more intelligence and integrity than most, and his soul is most certainly rep of the America I know and love. Hashtag Bernie 2020. Hashtag not me US. Carlos begins. The Democrat Civil War is truly gloat-worthy. There's no way for them to unite behind anyone. They're screwed. What's especially funny is watching them hurl all the same epithets at each other that they generally reserve for conservatives. Bernie's a racist. Biden is corrupt. Bloomberg is trying to buy the election. They absolutely deserve this implosion. For decades, leftists brainwashed everyone to hate everybody who might someday run for office. We've achieved peak hate. Now there's nobody to not hate. This is a long-term activist. She's done with the left. And then Carlos posts a YouTube video of Tim Pool interviewing a young lady from New York who's a lesbian activist, far leftist, and she has left the left. My brother just came out as gay. I told him, I've known that since you were 7 years old. You see, I didn't know what gay was when I was 5. But I just knew that my brother wasn't like me. We were different, but it wasn't a big deal. So the coming out was over in 3 seconds. He didn't come out before because he's a very private person. I have to say, it's funny that he thought I didn't know. When we were little kids, we'd play war or cowboys and Indians, and he'd be a robot. That was just him. He's a car fanatic and an aviation fanatic. When I was little, I used to dress my G.I. Joe in Barbie's clothes. He'd fight battles wearing a dress. It didn't mean anything to me except entertainment. There was just something wrong with the way Joe looked. I could never quite figure it out. I think his head is too big and his chest is too high. He looks like an ape. Carlos posts a picture of 4 G.I. Joes right next to each other. So since his uniforms were unsatisfactory, I put him in Barbie clothes. I also made clothes out of socks. I cut a head hole and 2 arms holes, so he had like a ball gown. Today, they made limited edition 1/6 scale action figures. I bought a German World War I stormtrooper that I never unpacked. I just wanted to have it. The uniform and equipment are totally accurate. But it's still just a toy. My plan years ago was to build a giant diorama with a full company of 1/6 scale stormtroopers attacking, but the action figures sold out immediately, and I've moved on. Maybe someday I'll put together a German flame assault troop of 12 men. That would be fun. So what it all comes down to is that what unites us is our desire to improve. Leftism is about decay, oppression, and conformity. My brother is very conservative, and he doesn't conform to any paradigm. Those are the people who bring about improvement. My brother never played with dolls. I played with dolls, and I put my G.I. Joe in dresses. Things are complicated. You can't really label actions until you know the motivation. I was just trying to make my boring soldier toy more interesting. Leftists forced Hasbro to stop selling G.I. Joes in military gear. They said war toys train little boys to want to go to war. I'd hate for any leftists to see this video, made by a real Marine. My guess is that leftists are currently wishing that they'd studied military strategy. Donald Trump is using too many military strategies and tactics for me to count. His enemies will never learn, which is why they're headed for extinction. Remember how, during the ancient forgotten past of last week, leftists were saying we were headed for another economic collapse and a pandemic? What a difference 4 days make. Today was the largest one-day gain in the history of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Trump headed off another coup, effortlessly. And now, the Democrats have turned all their hate inward. They have flopped on every level, and I couldn't be happier. This action figure came out in 2002. I bought one just to have. Trump ended the war in Afghanistan, so I'm going to see if I can send him Frank. Frank has appreciated a lot in value. I expect him to keep doing so. The end.